Back, everybody, to Two Guys and a Stack of Comics. It is our weekly What is in the Stack. From the top, what Mike and I are going to do is tackle just a topic that has been being talked about or kicked around or discussed by folks or that's important to us personally. And then after that, we will walk through our respective stacks. What did we pick up at the store last week and what are we reading through? So we'll kind of start with this, Mike. Captain America Brave New World. There has been a ton about this movie coming out. Um, Obviously, it's got its detractors who want to see it absolutely fail. It's got its fans who want to see it succeed, and it's got all the regular cultural war narrative crap that happens now with every single thing because nothing can just be a movie anymore. But one question that you and I wanted to delve into. Go ahead, Mike.
I don't pay attention to any of that. I'll
No,
just
it's
wait till
it's
the movie comes
very.
out.
You told me to stop doing that a couple years ago, and honestly, it improves the experience of comic books and movies and all that a lot more.
I'll take the wait and see approach, but I'm old school. I don't, drive down and drill down into Twitter and all of that and until after. I try and avoid it.
And then just
Spoilers,
let it stand on its own.
yes. I will make up my own mind when I see it.
So what's interesting is we did see a question that is kind of interesting that has been kicked around for years, and um, in the comic books, we have seen two men take the role of Captain America. For Steve Rogers, and I'm sure there's been more, obviously, but the main two have taken over as the main Captain America in the universe has been Bucky and obviously now Sam. And so there are fans of the Bucky era of Captain America. There's fans of Sam as well. But there are some folks saying, hey, look, the shield shouldn't have gone to Sam. Shield should have gone to Bucky. I think you and I are in the camp that nobody can actually replace Steve Rogers successfully. But in your opinion, would Bucky have been a better choice for the MCU to make Captain America as opposed to the direction they went with Sam?
Well, for me, the first thing I'll make a blanket statement. It's like, if Steve's gonna pass the shield in the MCU, um, it should go to it should go to the Falcon, and he should be the Falcon, but he also has the shield, so
Yeah.
he could be,
It's a kind of a mix and match approach if he keeps his identity
exactly
but
like
gets the
not
shield.
taking his place, but stepping up to keep the good fight going. Since Cap is no longer in the fight, I think that makes the most sense in the MCU. I think for Bucky, his character has been so destroyed. I think he's damaged goods. I don't think he could be Captain America in the MCU. You could take it back to the comics where he would have been the perfect fit because he was the sidekick and then he could grow into the role and boom. But you have the Falcon who can pick up where he left off. In the MCU, Bucky is just, he's done so
Murdering
much.
Iron Man's parents
He's
does put a
yeah, is there's just no way for me to get to like, oh, Bucky's completely changed now. He's happy-go-lucky. He's forgotten all his assassinations and his Hydra past, and he's ready to move on. I think he needs some therapy. Like he needs to start going to
well,
therapy.
sadly they did do some therapy sessions or whatever in
Yeah,
that Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Oh, they dropped that real quick.
I think, yeah, he probably needs some therapy and a nice superhero retirement home to retire to. Bucky, he's had a rough life. I feel for the guy. I know he was under the mind control, but can you imagine coming out of that and going, oh, and I did that too? Oh my God. I mean,
Yeah.
so I don't know. Logically, I think it should go to Sam.
So it's interesting. I think the MCU did a poor job for both in that the filling in for Steve is kind of weird for either one of them, and that Bucky was presented as his best friend and Sam like his best friend in the modern age. And so it is kind of weird that you'd have like one grown man looking at another grown man going, "Oh, I want to be like you," kind of thing. Now, Sam, I think they did do a little bit of, he obviously had heard the legend of Captain America. And so, like, initially he was like, oh, dude, you're Captain America. Like, I'll help you with wherever you want. But by the end, like, it'd be really strange. Like, you and I are good friends. It'd be really weird if you were leaving something. You're like, I want you to be the new Mike. It'd be like, I'll help. Like, if there's a cause that's important to you that you can't
Yeah.
do anymore, I'll absolutely help you. But like to say, I want you to be like Mike, like that's kind of weird, man. Like, I'll help out in any way I can.
Well,
And I think that's the conundrum they created with both of these by changing the dynamic.
you do wear a Raiders jersey on occasion. So, and I thank you for that. I appreciate that very much.
I think of the two, I do think Bucky would have been a better choice because I think Bucky at the very, and again, I don't think anybody can replace Steve, but where I do think Bucky's a more successful version of Captain America. He retains a lot of the things that I would consider to be essential of Captain America. Fighting in World War II, being from like Greatest Generation and then transported into the modern world, that to me is essential to Captain America. You can change a lot about him, but I think that frozen kind of in time, and I know Bucky wasn't exactly frozen, but he doesn't remember. And he basically remembers being Bucky Barnes, and then he remembers when like the brainwash program kind of got taken out of him. And so for him, I think you could easily explore that same kind of creative avenue as Steve, where you have this transplant from an older generation and keep that type of storytelling going, plus a personal animus with the Red Skull, which I think if you're doing Captain America, eventually you're going to see the Red Skull again. And so I think that would work. I do think the sidekick piece also would helped a lot in the comic books, because much like I think if Bruce Wayne ever goes out of commission, the natural fit is Nightwing. That's a father-son-esque relationship. They share a very common background. And so Nightwing becoming the new Batman always fit. And I thought Bucky, who was a child sidekick to Captain America, being a Captain America replacement when Steve falls, made sense. I think the other part where it kind of makes sense more for Bucky is the Winter Soldier identity is basically, hi, I was a mind wiped assassin who was tortured by evil people. I don't know that he'd want to run around calling himself the Winter Soldier anymore. So to
Right.
disappear into the role of Captain America, he's actually Steve's old identity actually kind of helps him escape
Redeem,
this huge trauma that he had. Um,
redemption,
yeah, like a
redemption.
redemption arc kind of thing. And I think that's
I
where the
get it.
comics what is weird is there's no question Bucky was done better in the comic books than Sam was, but that's because Ed Brubaker wrote those comic books, and so naturally those were really well written. Whereas I think when Sam did it, it was I'm trying to remember the guy Rick Remender, and that just wasn't executed as cleanly. Again, I don't think either one's a great replacement, but I do think if you keep Bucky as Captain America, there is a little more similarities in terms of a World War II vet, lost to time, coming in. Again,
I
it's
could,
it's an interesting thing because I don't know that either would have been the answer fans were looking for, though.
I could see that. I could see what you're saying there. But as far as the movie goes, I think they probably had to go with Sam, and I can see why. But I still kind of, anyway, I think Captain America is one of those heroes. Well,
Everybody who's not Steve Rogers feels like a discounted hero. I think
yeah,
that's the biggest thing that I think comic book media and I think the books themselves mess up on is the reason these characters are enduring is not the Spider-Man mask. It's Peter Parker.
yeah,
Batman is because of Bruce Wayne. Superman is because of Clark Kent. Right? You
and
can't
and
accept.
and let Sam Wilson be Sam Wilson.
Yeah,
You
and,
know,
and I think that's the thing is with Sam Wilson, what it's hard not to take from this. And again, I think Bucky is a bit more like Nightwing becoming Batman. Falcon is almost more like if they were like Hawkman is the new Batman.
yeah,
Like it'd be okay, Hawkman's worked with Batman and they've been in like the Justice League and stuff and they know each other. But I think the other part that's weird is Captain America with wings and jet fighting scenes and stuff like that. That's not Captain America. Again, that's where I think Bucky would be
it
interesting
kind of
is
it kind of looks cool
Bucky,
though.
it does look cool, but again, that could be a Falcon movie. I
Yeah,
think the
yeah,
thing
yeah,
is when you've got Captain America with like I think in the movie he's got like adamantium wings and he's flying at this. Okay, this is more Iron Man than it.
yeah.
Whereas Bucky with the shield and the super soldier serum that he has kind of make him strategically similar to Cap. I think where
And
people could argue against that if they go, look, if it's not Steve, then it should be a changeup, and Falcon is absolutely a changeup that is different. Because I could see some people going, look, Bucky's just repetitive because it's a World War II vet with the same powers as Steve, and so you're seeing the same thing. I just think familiarity is your friend. And then I think so a lot of the same plot lines you had with Steve, you could continue. A lot of the personal animuses that Steve had from World War II. Him having a huge beef with Hydra would make sense because he used to be Hydra's weapon. Now he's fighting against Hydra. I think there's a lot more narratively they could have explored with Bucky. Whereas I think Sam, you could have just very easily continued with him as the Falcon and, like you said, give him the shield and it would have been fine. It'll just and the other way. I mean, they got it now. There's a new Falcon in the movie too, so now he's Captain America, and another grown man wanted to be the new Falcon. I just think the whole thing is kind of weird that
Really?
they have that. Yeah, because there's a guy with a green kind of jetpack suit in the trailers and stuff. That's going to be the Falcon now for
Oh, the Falcon.
Sam.
Oh
And
no.
again, that to me is another repetitively stupid thing, and that now Falcon and Captain America have the same suits and the same ability. Like it just, I think it's too much of a repetition for that, and then I think it's a little too different. Whereas I think had you gone Bucky, especially because, and this is what fundamentally bugs me, and I get it, it's a movie, things are different. I'm supposed to buy Falcon with no super soldier serum, and the shield can take out the Hulk. Like
Yeah,
literally just
I'm sorry.
like again and the red Hulk from the trailers and everything we see is the Hulk. Like he's gigantic. When he punches Sam with the shield, it's like Sam should be flying. Like it's just, and again, I get it. It's a movie. We've seen all of these people in these movies. I mean, Black Widow's done jumps that would kill her if there's a regular person. So there's a little bit of suspension of disbelief. But I do feel like it would have flowed a little bit better. And you could have easily just had Bucky be Captain America and Sam as the Falcon. And I think that's the big mistake of this movie. I think is this movie should absolutely be a team up between those two heroes carrying on Steve's legacy. I think the mistake of writing Bucky out of this movie makes absolutely no sense. Like I don't get that at all. I would be so much more happy with this movie if it's Bucky plus Sam doing this instead. I don't know why they decided to write Bucky out, but let us know. What do you guys think below? Do you think this would have been an easier transition for the MCU had they made it Bucky? Do you think there would be, a more interest in the film? Or do you think they made the right choice with Sam? Let us know what you guys think. As always, we appreciate seeing you guys' thoughts. Mike, before we go, we're going to run through what was in our stack for the week. I will kick it to you, sir. What did you have in the stack this week?
I got the Long Halloween.
Okay.
That
Yep.
was
Black
that
and
was
white. Yep.
all black and white, really dramatic, scenes in it. It was I liked it. I liked the black and white. It was pretty cool.
No, DC's been doing a good job lately of when the book sells out, they've been reprinting it like as a noir edition in black and white. And I'm sure it gets double sales, but it is cool for folks who missed the first issue that you can gather it later on.
I got issue 2 of Metamorpho. I haven't read it yet.
Okay.
I got the New Gods. I haven't read it yet.
Okay.
Um, I got Rogue. Haven't
Savage
read
Land Rogue
that.
miniseries. Okay.
And I got my new issue of Flash. I love the cover B. It looks awesome. And of course, this came out a couple weeks ago. This is some awesome
You got your
Silver
Superman
Age
Flash. Yeah.
awesomeness.
No, I know we're going to do a video focusing on that one. You're kind of going to do the comic historian bit for us and kind of break down a little bit of
Oh
Infantino with
yeah,
that. So
it's so cool.
we'll
Look at the
get into that one.
breakdown of the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah.
I loved stuff like that when I was a kid. So I'm really happy that they put that out in tabloid size. What's in
No,
your
those
stack?
tabloid ones they've been doing lately have been really cool to see.
They're knocking them
Um,
out.
Stacked for me this week, I got recommended this Sabretooth series. It's like a set in the past thing. It's almost like the movie Gangs of New York featuring Sabretooth. It's actually
Wow.
pretty good. I'll give it credit. It's pretty interesting read. Nothing groundbreaking, but the X-Men universe, you get some good characters in stories that aren't set in the current messed up present. It's pretty cool. Continuing to read Moon Knight. I've been reading this book for since it started with this run. Really enjoying that. Still a great book. Again, nothing remarkable, but I think one of the more solid comics Marvel produces. A DC book I picked up, there was this Lex Luthor one shot that ties into the main Superman series. Last couple of years, they've kind of had where Lex had some memory loss thing, and so this is kind of showing his past. And then obviously at the end, it hints that he's going to be the traditional Lex again. It was a well written issue, but I will say I just hate when they do this thing where it's like, hey, we're going to change Lex Luthor for a bit, and then within like 12 issues, it's like, ah, screw it, we're going back to what we had. So well written, but disappointing. Best books of the week for me. Ghost Machine, you and I are going to do a video on Ghost Machine coming up here
Oh
pretty
yeah.
quick. Redcoat number
Uh,
9. Jeff Johns and Brian Hitch are just knocking out of the park with this series.
so
Great, great
cool.
story. Would recommend that to anybody to pick up. Other one I've really been enjoying. I thought issue 5 was a dip in the wrong direction, but the TMNT relaunch has been really, really good. This is the 6th issue of that.
Hey,
That has been great.
wearing my TMNT t-shirt. Elderly normal ninja tortoise.
There you go.
Shout out to the
um,
turtles.
Turtles, love it. It's great to see a book again with the turtles in it that's worth reading. Last Ronin is doing a sequel as well. I think it's Re-Evolution number 2. I've really enjoyed this. It hasn't been as good, but the first Last Ronin was one of the best comic books. This has been a decent sequel, but it's always hard to see the turtles without the actual turtles in it. But I've enjoyed it. It's got good art. I'm looking forward to that one ending and seeing what. Not looking forward to it ending. Looking forward to the ending of that one to see what happens.
Okay.
Um, We'll get to the book that you and I are going to do a video on that'll probably post on Wednesday.
Oh yeah.
X-Men number 10. Now I have been sticking with, I think, 3 of the X-Men series. I've been sticking with the regular X-Men book, Uncanny X-Men, and Wolverine. I really, really wanted to give the X-Men a chance. The Krakoa era, I hated. I dropped X-Men for the first time, I think, in 15 years of not having on my pull list. And so I was really excited to get back in. This marks the issue where I'm done again, at least with this one. I don't know if I'll keep. I always read Wolverine, but they basically just have the X-Men act like terrorists now, and it's. I think what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about that issue in particular, but I think we're going to talk a little bit about some of the morals that are in comic books right now, and how
It's
where there
sad.
used to be these very clear delineations of like heroes acted a certain way, we have now gone way beyond that with some of the characters, and it's just presented in a very interesting light. And it's so weird to see modern writers be so critical on characters like Batman or the Punisher specifically, where like if the Punisher crosses the line, it's the worst thing ever and he's
Right.
awful and we need to turn him into the Red Skull. But like when Cyclops acts like a terrorist, we're like, how empowering from you. It's just a weird dynamic. We're going to talk about it breakdown. I think we will try to get in one video. It might end up spilling into a second video that we do to talk about it because there's a lot to unpack with that. But I would say if you have seen stuff on X-Men number 10, it's been an issue I've seen circulating a lot on YouTube channels, people talking about what's in there for both the good and bad. But we figure we'll kind of do, as always, a measured breakdown of that without the hyperbole and the cursing and getting angry, and just kind of talk about the actual contents there. So that'll be coming up this week.
I
As
appreciate
always,
that.
folks, let
Yeah.
us know what you guys are reading. What's in your stack for the week? What do you think about the books that we had? And on our original topic, who do you think would have been a better replacement for Steve Rogers as Captain America? Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless you. We'll catch you in our next video, folks.
Thanks, everybody.